to my channel. Today we are going to be putting two of the newest concealers that have arrived at Sephora and also with me in my collection to the test by doing a side-by-side comparison and a wear test throughout the day. So the concealers that we're talking about are the Pretty Vulgar concealer, and this is part of the newest Pretty Vulgar line that has launched. I know a lot of talk has been circulating about this line, so this is the only thing I've gotten from the line so far. But we're going to put that up against the Milk Makeup Flex Concealer. Now, everything I've gotten from Milk so far I've really enjoyed. So when I saw this, I definitely wanted to give it a try. So real quick, I'm going to go over kind of the claims, the prices, the amounts, and stuff for each concealer. So the Milk Makeup Flex Concealer comes in 8 colors and it retails for $28. Now, it has 0.2 ounces in it, 5.9 milliliters. That is roughly $140 an ounce, which is the easiest way for me to compare pricing, okay? So let's remember that. I got the color Light. They do have different various undertones to this concealer within the 8 colors, so you will be able to find pink undertones, yellow undertones, neutral undertones, and golden undertones. The light color has yellow undertones. Now, the reason they call this the Flex Concealer is because they claim that it moves with the face throughout the day, therefore it won't crack, it won't peel, it won't flake, and it helps reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles because it's not cracking and accentuating those areas of the face. It also claims to be full coverage and long wear. Now, Milk Makeup as a line is vegan, cruelty-free, and gluten-free. This also has no parabens or sulfates in it. So, all in all, this is like the kind of makeup that you want to be putting on your face. Now, I will go over the packaging and stuff in the demo, so let's talk about the Pretty Vulgar Concealer. Now, this one only comes in 6 colors, and according to the actual definition of the colors on Sephora's site, it doesn't tell you undertones. It tells you the name of the concealer and the tone. Not necessarily the undertone, but like light, medium, dark, that kind of stuff. So I got the Tiptoe Over the Line, which is the light to medium shade. Now, this is called the Undercover Concealer. There's not that many claims on like the coverage. It doesn't say whether it's like a light coverage, a sheer coverage, full coverage, long wear. It doesn't say any of that stuff. There's not really that much said about it in the description. They do say it's gel serum, that it's hydrating, natural looking, and gives a flawless finish. So the gel serum does lead to the hydrating claim. This actually is $25, so it's going to be $3 less than this, but it has less product. It has 0.14 fluid ounces or 4 milliliters, whereas this one has 5.9. So it's not much when you're talking about milliliters, but I mean, it is a smaller concealer. So when you do that, it comes out to be roughly $185 an ounce. So this one is more expensive than this one for what you pay for and what you get. It's the same as far as the Milk Concealer when it comes to the fact that Pretty Vulgar is vegan, or at least this product is vegan, cruelty-free, gluten-free, doesn't have any parabens or sulfates. So all that is the same. So that's all the information that I could kind of gather from the website. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut into a demo. I'm going to show you how they apply, their texture, their coverage, do they crease? I'm going to set it for y'all, and then I'm going to come back at the end of the day and tell you how they both held up and tell you which one would be my choice or if I would even recommend either one of them. We're going to see how they wear throughout my day. It's not the first time I've worn these, but it's the first time I've put them side by side. So if you want to see how these apply and how they hold up and whether or not I think there's something you want to spend your $25 to $28 on, keep on watching. All right, so we are going to start with the Milk Makeup Flex Concealer. And again, I'm in the color Light. It comes in a package like this, and it does have a doe foot applicator. There we go. Pretty standard, nothing special about the applicator. And to show how much I absolutely love y'all and want you to see the best of these concealers, or the worst of the worst as it may end up being, I'm not going to use a corrector, which I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. Hopefully you can see the darkness under my eyes. A lot of times the camera makes things look lighter than it actually is, but I can assure you that I have some pretty severe blue-black darkness, and my oldest kept me up till 1:30 in the morning last night, so you know, it's even worse. So this is going to be a good testament as to how good these concealers actually are. So I'm going to use the Milk Makeup on my right side. So again, I have the color Light. I'm afraid these colors are going to be pretty significantly different. And I'm just going to put a little bit here in the corner. I'm not going to go all the way down, but I do want to cover all the areas of possible darkness. I will say the doe foot applicator doesn't hold as much product as I would like it to, so I did have to put it back in one time to get this amount of product under my eye. So I'm just going to blend it out with a beauty blender, or beauty junkie sponge, I guess I should say. So that blended out very easily, and it is brightening. It does have a yellow undertone, so keep that in mind, but that yellow does help to brighten a little bit. I'm really self-conscious about not using a corrector. Okay, we're going in with the Pretty Vulgar concealer on my left-hand side. This one also has a doe foot, but it is longer, if you can see, and it has a little bit more of a slant to it. And this one is going to be a little bit darker, I have a feeling. It's in the color light medium. So yeah, you can already see it's darker. But because of the size of the doe foot, I'm not going to have to go back in, at least on the first application, for more product. So, you know, it's a small difference, but it might be one that makes a big difference to some of y'all. So I'm going to blend that out. So right away, let me zoom y'all in. I feel like the Milk side has more coverage than the Pretty Vulgar side. Like, I feel like I can pretty much see a good amount of my darkness still on this side and bags, where on this side it's a little bit more covered up. So I'm actually going to go in with just a little bit more of this, because I don't know, I feel like right there where my darkness is the absolute worst, I feel like I definitely need more coverage. I felt like maybe this one would be a little bit better in covering the darkness, because it is darker and I feel like has a little bit more of like a peachy undertone, but which, you know, can help counteract. But all right, that made it a little bit better, and I do feel like it was somewhat buildable. Like, I don't feel like it looks any more cakey that I put that second layer on. So this is the Pretty Vulgar side. This is the Milk Makeup side. I just put them on and they're creasing. They're not, well, yeah, I mean, they're, wow, like right before my eyes. Settling into the fine lines pretty significantly. I hope to goodness, I'm going to cut this out if y'all can't see it. But right under there, under my lash line is, well, I mean, it's where we all have our fine lines. The Milk Makeup side seems to be settling in faster than this side. So I'm going to finish doing my creams. Like, I'll do my cream bronzer, my liquid bronzer, whatever, and then I'll come back and set my under eyes, and we'll see how it does like under powder. So it just took, I mean, a couple minutes for me to do my cream bronzer, and the settling is pretty much consistent with what it was. So it's not like getting any worse, but I am going to blend some of that settling out. Now, I know some of y'all are probably thinking, well, it wouldn't settle if you didn't use as much product, but I didn't use a corrector today, so I'm using that much product. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my NARS Crystal Press Powder, blinding you with the mirror. This is a new one because I was getting way too low in my other one. And my Sephora Pro Crease Brush number 10, and I'm just going to lightly set that under my eyes. So this, one of the reasons that I chose to use this powder, other than the fact that I just love it, is that it really does not change the color or add more coverage. I didn't want anything that's going to brighten up more or add any more coverage, because I want to see the true test of how well these concealers cover. So again, Pretty Vulgar on this side, Milk on this side. I see more darkness still on this side, even with the second layer. So I'm going to finish my makeup and see if anything changes, if the other makeup, you know, conceals it more, makes it look different or whatever, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished putting my makeup on, and I feel like the concealers are pretty much the same as they were. This is still darker, which I think is pretty much evident on camera if the viewfinder is any indication. And the actual like creasing and stuff pretty much went away when I set. I do feel like this one looks a little bit smoother than this one, but that could be because it has like half the coverage. So we'll see. I'm going to actually treat this kind of like a foundation review, and I'm going to go throughout my day, and I'm going to come back later tonight, and we're going to see how both of them held up throughout the entire day. It's currently 10:15. Got a pretty full day. So I will come back later tonight, probably between 8 and 9, and let you know how these held up. Okay, I'm back for my final check-in. It is now 8:45. So I've had this on for 10 and a half hours, which I think is a perfect amount of time to do a wear test on a concealer. And I have a few things to say about each one. So just to recap, the Milk Makeup one is on this side and the Pretty Vulgar is on this side. Now, there's a couple of pros and cons for both. The Milk Makeup definitely has more coverage than the Pretty Vulgar, but the Pretty Vulgar goes on smoother because it's a thinner consistency. And because it's a thinner consistency, it has less coverage. I would say the Pretty Vulgar is a light to medium coverage, and I would say the Milk Makeup is a medium to full coverage. Upon looking at it right now, I feel like they're somewhat even. Midday, I pulled down the visor in my car when I was out doing some stuff, and I do feel like the Milk Makeup side looked a little bit smoother. But now looking at it, I kind of feel like the Pretty Vulgar side looks a little less cakey than the Milk Makeup side. I'll zoom you in just a minute. I'm just kind of trying to figure out my thoughts as I go here. As far as darkness, believe it or not, I feel like looking in this mirror that they're pretty even. And I know that I had originally said that the Pretty Vulgar looked like it was darker, and I did. But I'm thinking maybe the Pretty Vulgar holds whatever coverage it does give a little bit longer than the Milk Makeup. I feel like the Milk did fade throughout the day. Let me zoom you in. So that's the Pretty Vulgar. It does, I mean, it's coming across dark on screen because, well, I've had it on for 10 and a half hours with no corrector, so it is dark. And then that's the Milk Makeup. So I really think that the darkness is pretty equal. I do feel like that this is much darker than when I first applied it and set it this morning. And that this one is kind of the same. So as far as like creasing and stuff, I feel like there's very, very minimal creasing right up at the very lash line. I mean, you cannot see it unless you get up with a microscope in my face, and nobody's going to do that. So I don't have an issue with creasing. I just feel like this side is just a tad cakier than this side. I don't know. I just feel like right here in the darkness, it's a little bit cakier. But all in all, they're not that much different upon looking. I think my final thoughts on this might surprise people. But if I had to choose between the two, neither one of them I don't think are going to end up in my top 5, which I do plan on filming next week. And that's going to be a really hard video for me to do because I've yet to find a concealer that just completely blows my socks off. So I don't know, maybe they will, but at this point I don't think either one of them is really going to end up in that. However, if I had to choose between these two, I think I would choose the Pretty Vulgar, which I know some of y'all are like, what? Why? Because it's just not that, it's not as much coverage, and you were complaining about it not covering your darkness. Yes and yes, but I also didn't use a corrector today. I do every day wear a corrector, and this was it was a thinner consistency. I prefer the doe foot on this one, the longer doe foot, more so than the Milk Makeup. I feel like I just don't have to dip back into the product as much. The color could stand to be lighter, but I got light medium. There's 2 colors lighter than this, so it's not a problem for me to get a lighter color if I chose to. And I think it comes down to the consistency and the smoothness that it provides under my eyes. It did not get cakey, and I did apply 2 layers of this, if you remember. It did not get cakey. It didn't crease any more than the other, and I just feel like it looked smoother and held the coverage that it did provide. Even if it was a smaller amount of coverage, it held that throughout the day, and I think that speaks volumes for a concealer, really. I mean, lasting power is huge in my book. So if I had to choose, I would choose the Pretty Vulgar. This is not a bad one by any means. I don't necessarily think that it flexes with your movements. I don't know really how much right under my eyes moves anyways, and I don't really put concealer all the way over there, so I don't really know about that. I can't attest to that, but I just don't feel like it beat this one out in the categories and reasons that I just spoke of. So I don't know, neither one of them are going to be like, oh my goodness, go out and buy them right now. But if you're dying to try one of the new concealers that Sephora has to offer, I would say probably try the Pretty Vulgar. If you've tried the Milk Makeup and love it, I mean, it's like I said, it's not a bad concealer. It's just not what I go for in my more maturing eyes. Like I'm trying to steer away from these thicker consistency. I mean, you're not putting like a cream potted concealer under your eyes. It's not that. I just feel like it doesn't smooth out as easy. I don't know. I kind of feel like I have to justify my feelings, and that's just my feelings. That's just how I feel. I wish that one of them totally knocked my socks off and I could have been like, go out and buy it right now. But neither one of them really did. What are you going to say? I don't know. I'm still in the search for my absolute favorite all-time concealer. I have a feeling it's going to be a never-ending search. Either that or I'm just way too picky. So I don't know. If you've been interested in these two concealers, hopefully this little video helped. If not, sorry. But I do plan on doing my top 5 concealers next week, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope you all have a very blessed day.